Bam! Welcome back. Today we are analyzing the mechanics for the judicial recusal of State Judge Steven Hippler. To evaluate whether a judge must step aside, we look strictly at the statutory framework: Idaho Criminal Rule 25, Idaho Rule Civil Procedure 40D, Canon Rule 2.11 of the Code of Judicial Conduct, and the constitutional guarantee of due process under Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho Constitution. Let's look at the requirements of recusal. There is a firm line between subjective bias and an objective conflict. Subjective bias focuses on the judge's internal mindset, asking whether they personally harbor malice or favoritism. That is almost impossible to prove without explicit admissions on the record. Objective conflict, however, focuses entirely on external appearances. Under the standard affirmed in Caperton v. Massey, the legal question is straightforward. Would an objective, reasonable observer, knowing all the facts, harbor a reasonable doubt about the court's impartiality? If the answer is yes, recusal is mandatory, regardless of the judge's subjective belief in their own neutrality. An objective conflict generally manifests in two key operational areas. First, personal and economic interest. This includes direct or indirect financial stakes or close professional and familial ties with litigants, attorneys, or key witnesses. Second, administrative and dual role conflicts. As an administrative district judge, Judge Hippler oversees broader administrative functions, disciplinary matters, and case assignments. When administrative duties overlap with active litigation involving the exact same parties, an inherent structural conflict is created. Canon Rule 2.11 establishes 4 mandatory triggers where a judge must disqualify themselves. 1. Personal knowledge of disputed evidentiary facts acquired outside the courtroom record. 2. Prior legal representation or involvement in the matter in controversy. 3. Any financial or proprietary interest held by the judge, their spouse, or minor child. And 4, the catch-all provision, requiring self-recusal whenever circumstances create a reasonable perception of compromised judicial neutrality. Bam! Now let's look at the appellate outcomes in Idaho. The data reveals a clear reality. Claims alleging mere personal animus account for only 35% of successful applications. Courts regularly dismiss complaints based on judges' stern demeanor or adverse rulings. In contrast, objective grounds such as prior case knowledge, financial conflicts, and administrative dual role overlaps compromise over 80% of successful disqualification petitions. To succeed on paper, a challenge must be grounded in structural, objective facts. Now let's look at how procedure dictates outcome. Filing a recusal challenge requires strict adherence to statutory timeliness. For disqualification without cause, motions must be filed within a strict 7 to 21 day window following initial appearance. For disqualification for cause under Canon Rule 2.11, the motion must be brought at the earliest practicable opportunity upon discovering the factual conflict. Crucially, the motion must be supported by sworn affidavits detailing specific facts. Conclusory allegations will be denied summarily. It's critical to distinguish between the two legal avenues. Disqualification without cause under Rule 25A is peremptory right. It requires no evidentiary burden, but is strictly time-sensitive. This peremptory right does not apply to Judge Hippler because he was the sitting trial judge and now is the sitting PCR judge. This falls under disqualification for cause under Rule 40D2 and Canon 2.11, carries a heavy evidentiary burden. It requires sworn factual proof demonstrating an objective conflict, and the decision is subject to appellate review. Idaho jurisprudence balances two competing judicial duties. Judges have an affirmative duty to sit and hear cases assigned to them when unconflicted, preventing litigants from judge shopping or creating unnecessary delay. However, the duty to recuse is paramount whenever an objective conflict exists, where a reasonable observer would question impartiality. The duty to withdraw overrides the duty to sit in order to preserve public confidence in the administration of justice. A formal recusal challenge follows a four-step legal progression. Step 1, investigation, uncovering specific verifiable facts establishing financial, prior legal, or administrative conflicts. Step 2, motion and affidavit, drafting and filing a formal petition supported by sworn affidavit testimony under penalty of perjury. Step 3, judicial determination, applying the Canon 2.11 objective reasonable person test. Step 4, reassignment or appellate review. If recused, the case is referred to the administrative judge for reassignment. If denied, the record is preserved for appeal. And most critically, the record is preserved for federal habeas review. In summary, removing Judge Hippler demands demonstrating a concrete objective conflict under Idaho statutory rules and constitutional due process baselines. That objective standard has been persuasively set forth in my prior video regarding the de facto Alford plea.